Alright guys, life is art. Please subscribe, like, share. Greatly appreciate all the hard work you guys have been showing me, the love and attention. We're over 600 subscribers, and one day soon we'll look at this and be like 600. That's crazy, but okay. But again, thank you so much. Today we're gonna be doing Masterchief Spartan 117, the video game coming out later this year, Halo Infinite. So I know I talked to you guys in one of the videos and I was telling you how I would use glass and things like that. Well, also I have at times used this like magnifying sheet where you can still see through it, and that'll protect my drawings and things like that. I do sometimes use the tablet graphic artist gloves and things like that, but they're kind of a bit uncomfortable to me. I do have them. Sometimes I will catch myself using them, but for the most part, this will suffice. A piece of paper will suffice or whatnot. But just giving you guys some ideas of being creative on things you can utilize, okay? So these are things you can utilize. So today, we're going to get started on this. So we're going to start even base layer, okay? I'm just going to go ahead with my 2B pencil, my Staedtler 2B pencil, and make a smooth, no harsh outline, but a smooth base layer on the front portion of this mask, you know. So remember, just it's all about, even though this is sped up, just take your time. Really take your time, really pay attention to what you're doing. Nice, even, full strokes, okay? And as always, you can also find me at Life is Art, Facebook, right? Instagram, Ricardo Turk Davis, etc. So just taking a look at this, we're gonna smooth transitions. Remember my brushes I'm using, they have a little give to them or whatnot. So if you want to try to replicate some of these techniques, just pay attention, close attention to what I'm using and what I'm doing. So bottom portion of this mask here, we're gonna go in and start same thing process here. This is gonna be a shadow, and we're gonna have some highlights in this portion here to make it look like reflective metal. Okay, so we're gonna start off, and this portion of the visor here, we're making it a little bit darker to show the contrast, the difference in the actual material. So as you can see here, a little bit darker, taking my blending stump and just going right on through that brush, blending stump back and forth, just smoothing everything out to give it a smooth look. I thought about it in hindsight. I could have went back and actually put some scratches and stuff like that on it to give that worn look to it, but I'm actually drawing this off an actual collector's helmet I have of the Masterchief. I was asked in the comment section to draw Masterchief, and I thought about doing the entire body of the Spartan, but I said, you know what, let's make it personalized. When the person gets this, it'll be personalized. And also, if you look closely at the visor, that's me in my office taking a picture of it. It'll start to materialize a little bit later, okay? So just one of a kind. And I really hadn't seen many people actually draw the Masterchief. Yeah, so I've never really seen anybody do Masterchief, so I think this will be a unique challenge. I think it turned out pretty good, so it'll be a unique challenge. But we're gonna work on that bottom, making sure we get that metallic look, right contrast. You know, just like I said, just take your time on everything you're actually doing when you're dealing with your art. If you feel like you're tired, don't try to force it. Just pull away from it, because you won't be satisfied with the end result. Okay, so it's better to do that. Do as much as possible. When you start getting tired, don't cut corners. The shortcut is something you don't want to have to go back and try to touch a piece when it's finished. You know, so just think about it from that standpoint. So now we got the dry brush, light tone. We're going over everything, making it look smooth and even, right? Because we're going to put some reflection in that. Okay, we're going to put some reflection in that. No harsh outlines. Notice we're starting always light to dark, light to dark, light to dark, right? Alright, as you can see here, so with the dry brush, we're blending it, soft tone, you know, going back and forth, making sure it's a soft tone. And there I'm using a little bit of graphite powder that I made, and I'll show you guys how to do that as well, just by scraping a 2B, number 2 pencil, using sandpaper, just taking the lid and making my own graphite powder or whatnot. So I'm using that. Sometimes those little things like that are time savers, and it can save you a lot of time instead of just shading. So I'm using that. Now I'm going back in and reworking those highlights so that it'll actually be, you know, smoothing those edges out a little bit more, so we can actually have some detail to give it that metallic sheen and shine. It may not look like it now, but it will come along once we start darkening some other areas. Then those highlights are going to pop a little bit more. So the contrast is what's going to be the key to it, to to giving us that actual sheen that shines. So look at it, as you can see, getting a little darker. We're going to take this blending stump and just go in and just smooth it out just a little bit more so we can get that actual, I'm slowing it down here intentionally so you can see, like on those pieces, you just want to go through, just work it, work it, work it. You can go in circular motions. That works real good to get those hard edges off. So then we'll be able to actually, and then we'll darken it a little bit more, and then it's going to start to look like a reflection. Right now, it looks like a little flat. It looks a little flat. The cheekbone area looks like it's actually has some three-dimensional depth to it, but that's because of the highlight and the contrast right underneath it. But as I keep working it and working it, you'll start to notice that it's going to start to look 3D. It's going to start like it's going to come off the paper or whatnot. So remember, it's just you're on the 2D plane, but it's just 3D effects based upon shadows, light, and contrast. That's pretty much the gist of it. Light and contrast. See, we're going right back around that top portion and just smoothing it on out. Just smooth it on out, and you'll see it'll start to come together. I'm going to add some more graphite to it, but it's going to start to come together, and you'll start seeing that it actually looks like it's a piece of an actual metallic. The panels can look metallic in nature or whatnot to give it that actual sheen, like it's an actual metal helmet. Plastic can give that as far as with reflection as well, but we just wanted to make it look like that's what it is. Well, you know, everybody can recognize that iconic helmet, right? So we got to make sure it looks as close as possible to it, accurate reflections and things like that. And that's going to be the key. Just remember light, shadows, the light source, where's your light coming from, etc. Sharp corners on these type of deals. So as you can see there, I'm using my Tomo Zero flat eraser just to get that little light highlight at the very bottom down there. Now I'm going to come back and lift some of this graphite out with my typewriter eraser and then blend it back in. Now you're starting to see it has a little bit more form to it. We're not done with it yet, but you'll start to see it has a little bit more form to it as we go back and pull some of those highlights out, and then go back around and darken just a little bit more. Now it's starting to come to life a little bit more. So as you can see here, there we go. Now it's starting to come alive. All right. Some good reflected light at the very bottom, reflected light you know, just on some of the edges and things like that to give it that more pristine look, because that's what you really want to do. You want to give it that pristine look. So as you can see in the visor, you'll see my bookshelf, you can see the ceiling, the wall, you can see me holding my phone, taking a picture of this helmet. You can see my art desk in the back with a little arm on it that holds my GoPro. So you can see a lot of different things, and we'll start adding that stuff in. So if you're wondering what that reflection is, that's basically what it is. It's me holding the actual cell phone taking a picture of this helmet. So alright, and look at the sheen, look at how it's coming to life now. It's almost looking like it can hop off the paper, right? Because that's just contrast. That's just dealing with the contrast and how everything works, right? Light, darkness. Again, I tell you all the time, don't be afraid to go dark, right? So as you can see at this top portion, we're going to go through the dry brush, brush that on out, and we really want to make sure that this top portion, this piece here, that we actually have it at the top that's a reflected light on it as well. Okay, so we want to make sure that we embody that in this piece as well, because without that you really won't get those highlights and it won't really pop. You don't want to have just a solid dark piece. So as you can see, we got even strokes. We're going to go back over with the dry brush, even it out so we can get it to balance with the rest of the helmet as far as in the tone, because it can be too light. If it looks too light, it'll like it don't belong to part of the helmet, right? But if it's too dark, then like it's a different part, it's a different type of material. So you got to hit it just right. So if you see at the very top right there, we got that reflected light, right? So I'm just going by showing you frame by frame for the most part, and you can see that reflected light at the very top. So that's what we're kind of working on right here. We're making sure we can hit that, knock that, and that's going to give it that more realistic look. As you can see, give it that more realistic look. And now the tones are all pretty much, for the most part, the tones are pretty much all in favor with what we're trying to do right now. Looking real good coming across. And as you can see, we just make sure when you have straight lines and things like that, you want to really make sure that those straight lines are straight, because you're looking at symmetry with everything you draw, but especially with things like helmets and stuff like that, those straight lines. And you can get away with some stuff being a little crooked and things like that, because no piece is going to be perfected, right? And nothing's going to be perfect, but you want it to be as close as possible, and that'll be able to help you with your highlights and stuff like that as well. Okay, so just take your time. So we're going over the top portion of this helmet or whatever right now. So I'm going to go a little silent and just let it actually go through. And if there's something we need to really focus on, then I'll come back in and comment. But as you can see, you're starting to see the techniques and how the techniques are coming together. So I'm just going to go ahead and let it play on out.